Okay, guys, welcome back to more WWE reviews. I am going to be reviewing this past week's Monday Night Raw from April 29th to 20th. From April 29th, 2019 to April 30th, 2019. We're going to get started with Monday Night Raw. And with Monday Night Raw, there's quite a few things I have to take issue with. Now, Raw always starts out the way it's been starting out for years now, with either a heel authority figure coming out, talking to the crowd, announcing this, announcing that. Whether it's the McMahons, I get tired of seeing sometimes. In this case in point, it's Alexa Bliss, and she's here specifically to announce the participants for the Money in the Bank ladder match for the man, the superstars who are going to be representing Monday Night Raw in the Money in the Bank. So, from both brands, it's going to be 4 superstars from both brands. And superstars that they've chosen were Ricochet, Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin. Now, I have no issue with the people they chose. I have an issue to the fact that there was no qualifying matches. Since when do you not have qualifying matches for this type of thing? You can build a story within these qualifying matches. But I guess WWE didn't get the memo. They just decided to say, fuck it, we gonna name 4 superstars to participate in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So, Alexa Bliss introduces all the stars. They do their promo segment. Ricochet gets the pop because they're in Kentucky, his home state. And this is Ricochet showing out. So he get all the shine, basically, for the most part. And they was doing their promo segment in the ring. Drew McIntyre was talking how Baron Corbin stole his championship opportunity last week, and he came up short against AJ Styles in the main event to see who would face Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And that was just the argument from Drew McIntyre's standpoint, is that he's tired of people causing issues or blocking him from getting a one-on-one match for the Universal Championship. And so now his whole point is him being in the Money in the Bank ladder match gives him the opportunity to get a one-on-one match for the Universal Championship and walk out the new Universal Championship. And Ricochet he chimed in and said he's not here to talk, and McIntyre told him to shut up or he'll drop him where he stand. And then Baron Corbin chimed in with Drew McIntyre talking like a tough guy. And then him and McIntyre went back and forth until Braun Strowman just basically decided, let's make a match, a tag team match with him and Ricochet versus McIntyre and Corbin, because he wanted to give those two those hands. So there goes an impromptu tag team match. And I could not stand Michael Cole at this point. I'm sick of hearing the guy talk. He's just annoying at this point. But that's neither here or there. So we get the tag team match. It's a pretty good match. The whole thing was showcasing Ricochet and giving him his hometown pop. It was a pretty good match, though. It kept McIntyre strong by its ending, which showed Corbin tag himself in at the end, which upset McIntyre, furthering his point of Corbin still in his time to shine, as he alluded to earlier in his promo, which causes Ricochet to tag in Braun Strowman to destroy Corbin, and Ricochet to get the pinfall by hitting his finisher from the top rope and getting a 1-2-3 victory for his team in his home state. So that's that segment all wrapped up around. And that whole segment was to give Ricochet some heat and let him show out in front of his home state. Now we lead into the Miz TV segment with Bobby Lashley. This segment really just fucking pissed me off for this specific reason that this segment did not need to be on this show at all. This was nothing but a plot device just to further the storyline between Miz and Shane McMahon. I guess that's what the purpose of it was, from WWE's knowledge. But I don't know why they had to do it from Bobby Lashley's experience. I mean, Lashley was talking in third person. It was saying he was only going to answer questions that he wanted to answer. And he brought up the fact that, which really made him look fucking stupid if you ask me. But he brought up the fact that how Miz lost to Shane at WrestleMania, right? But Lashley also lost at WrestleMania against Finn Balor for the IC strap. So why would WWE write some shit like that? It's beyond me. Because that just make him look even more stupid for bringing up WrestleMania when he lost 2 at WrestleMania. Right? And he lost clean. But I don't know, man. I don't know, man. WWE just don't be... They ain't creative enough. They don't know how to book, right? I might be overreacting, but some of the shit they be doing just don't be cool to me. I don't like how they be treating Lashley, man. They write shit to make him like a fucking dumbass. But that just leads into a singles match between Miz and Bobby Lashley. And Lashley winds up beating the Miz with help from Shane McMahon. Like, Lashley needs help in order to beat the Miz. You get what I'm saying? Lashley will fucking destroy the Miz. Why the fuck do he need Shane to come out there to help him win against the Miz? My nigga, it's the Miz. I don't get it. I just don't fucking get it. But after the match, after Lashley defeated the Miz, Shane McMahon beat up the Miz some more. And then later on in the night, Miz challenged Shane McMahon to a steel cage match at Money in the Bank. So that whole segment was meant to further the storyline between Shane and the Miz. Hopefully this will be the blow off match and Miz will come out with the victory. Speaking of segments that were not needed on this show, they decided to bring another segment. And this segment is the Moment of Bliss segment, where yet again we have Alexa Bliss naming the participants who are going to compete in the Money in the Bank ladder match, this time for the woman. And now the superstars that are represented from Raw is Natalya, Dana Brooke, Naomi, and Alexa Bliss herself. Now, again, no qualifying matches. So, you guys decided, well, even with 2 weeks to build to Money in the Bank, you guys decided to name the Money in the Bank participants a week or 2 earlier than the pay-per-view's official date, which is May 19th. You got another week's worth of build up in order to build superstars or build who's going to compete in the Money in the Bank ladder match. But you didn't decide to have qualifying matches over both weeks. You decided just to name the participants. So the superstars who are left off the card, who didn't even get a chance to compete in no matches, let's list them off here. We got Ruby Riott, who I think should have been in the Money in the Bank over a fucking. Even though we love Natalya, man, I'm just tired of seeing Natalya for now. We gotta give somebody else some shine. I would have liked. I like the Dana Brooke pick because she's been developing her character ever since she interrupted Ronda Rousey a couple weeks ago before WrestleMania. I like the Naomi pick because Naomi's new. She's coming over from Smackdown and Raw, so you had to have Naomi in there. You gotta have Alexa Bliss in there. because this would be her first match back. Her first pay-per-view back. So, you're leaving off Ruby Riott. You're leaving off Sarah Logan, Alicia Fox, and Tamina, as well as Sasha Banks. But we all know the situation with Sasha Banks, so she doesn't count. So you could have easily had 2 women's qualifying matches for this past week's Raw and 2 for next week's Raw. And those are name your participants that are representing Raw and the Money in the Bank ladder match. But they didn't do that. They just decided to name the superstars who's going to be in it. But there's no changing it now. So what's done is done. But anyway, this segment was... It really just annoyed me. It really didn't have no reason to be here. It was just more annoying than anything. I only really cared about Naomi's standpoint, Dana Brooke. But it is what it is. So we got Naomi, Natalya, Dana Brooke, and Alexa Bliss representing Raw for the women in the Money in the Bank ladder match. That's it. And we got a singles matchup out of this segment between Naomi and Alexa Bliss for later on in the night, with Naomi picking up the victory. After the Moment of Bliss segment, we got another segment with Bray Wyatt, and he's showcasing his Firefly Funhouse. It's just more the same from last week. I'm interested. I'm interested in the gimmick. It got potential. Anything with Bray Wyatt getting TV time, being shown on TV is good for me because he's too good of a talent not to be on TV for as long as he has not been on TV. So anything showing Bray Wyatt, I'm a fan of. Let's see where this gimmick goes in the coming weeks and see what he gonna do. And let me speak on the tag team division here. On this episode of Raw, we had the Usos poking fun at the Revival. The Dash Wilder shaving Scott Dawson's back while they was in the shower. It's a little funny segment. It's for entertainment purposes. I get it. But the main story coming out of this is the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, are back on Monday Night Raw after their short stint on SmackDown. So it seems like more and more people moving from brand to brand after the actual superstar shakeup. So I wonder who we're going to get next week, or we're going to get anybody next week. Because last week I think Jinder debuted back on SmackDown. This week Gallows and Anderson debuted on Raw. Now WWE, they probably going to AEW. So I guess they're doing it right, man. But then you need to feature the guys. You need to feature them some more. Why AOP's still hurt? Because you only got probably about 2 or 3 or 4 tag teams. Raw is pretty loaded in that aspect, but you need more teams. And Gallows and Anderson are paying their dues until their contract is up, so they're jobbing out, which you have to do. It's a part of the business. Next up, we get the Becky Lynch segment where she just building with her feud with Lacey Evans and Charlotte Flair for like the 1,000th time. How she's going to defend both titles at Money in the Bank. She's going to defend the Raw Championship against Lacey Evans and the SmackDown Championship against none other than Charlotte Flair. But she just saying, basically to sum it up, how she's still going to walk in Becky 2 belts and walk out Becky 2 belts. And that prompts Lacey Evans to come out. And then she says she's tired of talking, and then her and Becky throw hands. And that's that segment. So it just more feud, more stuff adding on to her feud leading up to Money in the Bank. You will get more of that on SmackDown Live. And then we get the matchup with Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio once again. Continuing their feud from SmackDown Live. This time it's not for the U.S. Championship. It's just continuing their feud. And Joe said that how Rey should get his son Dominic the same mask to hide behind, like Rey has been hiding behind for these last couple years. For like, 3 decades now? But they had a match on Raw. So it was a cool match. Rey Mysterio won by pinfall. I guess it was supposed to be a surprise pinfall, even though Samoa Joe could have just put his foot or his hand on a rope and then broke the 3 count up, and then gave a more convincing finish. But it don't matter. They probably have a match at Money in the Bank, since neither one of them is in a Money in the Bank ladder match anyway. They probably do a U.S. Championship match again. So that's what's going down with Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio at the moment. And our final segment for Monday Night Raw would be the contract signing between AJ Styles and Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. And we have Michael Cole as the moderator between the two. Now, both men had their time to shine. AJ Styles' main point was how everybody compared Seth Rollins to AJ Styles and how they're familiar with each other, and how Seth Rollins was going to be the next AJ Styles. But AJ had to reiterate the point that there is only one AJ Styles, which prompted Seth to say that he didn't never want to be the next AJ Styles. He wanted to be the first ever Seth freaking Rollins, which he did that. And he also was saying how they familiar, how they got some similarities, but he holds one thing that AJ Styles doesn't, and that is a victory over Brock Lesnar, which prompts AJ to get mad, and they started the brawl. And then AJ finished it off with a phenomenal forearm through the contract signing table. And fade to black. That's the end of the Monday Night Raw. And now, guys, let's head over to Smackdown Live, where we kick off the show with Kofi Kingston coming out to the crowd in Columbus. And he talks about his bumps and bruises in his 11-year career, and where it's led him up to this point, and how he would have never gotten to this point if it weren't for Big E and Xavier Woods. The New Day got him to this point of becoming WWE champion. And that's the gist of his promo. But he's interrupted by Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens tells him that he's not championship material. And then Xavier Woods comes out there to attack Kevin Owens. But due to Xavier Woods' prior injuries from last week, suffering a powerbomb to the apron, he's not able to do damage to Kevin Owens. So one kick from Kevin Owens ends the whole segment. And he runs off, and Kofi tried to chase after him, but he checks on Xavier Woods to make sure he's alright. And then that prompts a Kevin Owens show segment featuring Xavier Woods for later on in the night. And that's the beginning of SmackDown. I'm interested in seeing both championship matches. They have pretty good builds up to this point. So I'll definitely be checking those out come Money in the Bank. Alright, coming out of that, we get the graphic of who's going to compete and represent SmackDown in a women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And they introduce Bayley. She's the first superstar. They will later reveal that Ember Moon, Carmella, and Mandy Rose will also be representing SmackDown in a women's Money in the Bank ladder match. But once Bayley's introduced, we get her match upcoming with Becky Lynch, which Bayley loses, but it's a good match. She loses via tap out to the disarmor. And then after the match, Charlotte attacked both Bayley and Becky Lynch, just to remind the crowd that Becky also has to face her at Money in the Bank. And that ends for that segment there. Which I'm personally tired of keep seeing Becky versus Charlotte. I mean, we need to cool off on that shit. That's why I thought Becky was going to win last week when she faced Charlotte, but I guess that's a more marquee match that WWE needs to have out there for the SmackDown title, which I don't understand, but nothing you can do about it, man. It is what it is, bro. Took it off Asuka to I know I ain't even gonna go into that. I ain't even going into the Oscar situation. Let's just move on. And then we get a segment with Aleister Black, just informing the crowd that he's here on SmackDown Live, and he's going to make an impact. We come back, and then the Hardys are coming out. Jeff's on a crutch, so there's nothing but bad news that can possibly come out of this situation. And we all heard the news that Jeff Hardy got hurt, and he's going to require surgery. So they came out to announce to the crowd that they don't have to relinquish the SmackDown Tag Team titles after they just got this shit, man. It seemed like every time they get the championship, something happen. Either they split them up or one of them get hurt. It's always an unfortunate situation because SmackDown needs the Hardys in that tag team division. But things happen, man. And they had to relinquish the titles, and Jeff Hardy's going to be on the shelf for a while. Don't know where that leaves Matt Hardy. Maybe another single run, but his last single run didn't go out as well as it should have. But with that being said, Lars Sullivan interrupted the Hardys. He attacked Matt, tried to attack Jeff too, but R-Truth came out there and stopped him. Gave Jeff enough time to get out the ring and escape Sullivan. And then R-Truth got destroyed by Lars Sullivan. And that ended that segment. So they really building Lars Sullivan as this big monster. They call him the Freak. They really building him up as this huge monster to dominate SmackDown Live. They keep going, man. They have a good heel on their hands. A big monster. Kind of like Braun Strowman. If he can keep up with the pace. Good segment. But fucked up that the Hardys had to relinquish the titles and Jeff got hurt. So then we get to the portion of the show where they introduce who will be representing SmackDown Live for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And the first superstar to pop up is Mustafa Ali. Then Andrade. Then Finn Balor. And then last but not least, Randy Orton. Now, SmackDown, you can't go wrong with none of SmackDown pits outside of Finn Balor, because I think Samoa Joe's going to defend his U.S. Championship at Money in the Bank. I just think Balor should defend his Intercontinental Championship at Money in the Bank also. And they could have put somebody else in there. Had like a Battle Royal like they did a couple years ago when they first did the brand split. And then whoever came out of that Battle Royal represents SmackDown Live also in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Just in order to give everybody to compete and to qualify. But that's the theme with both shows. There's no qualifying matches, so Finn Balor's in there, man. Can't go wrong with none of the pits though. So we got Balor, Ali, Andrade, and Randy Orton. And that completes the field. So the Money in the Bank ladder match will consume of Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Braun Strowman, Randy Orton, Finn Balor, Andrade, and Mustafa Ali. We didn't get Kairi Sane and Asuka versus two jobbers. Just that's filler. I guess just to build their team up, but their team don't need building up at all. So it is whatever. That leads into a backstage segment with Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, seeing which one of the two will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And ultimately, Sonya Deville says Mandy Rose should represent and be in the Money in the Bank because she had the championship match against Asuka at Fastlane. She was this close to winning it. So why not her? Now we head on to the big dog, as Michael Cole loves to say. He jump out of his seat every time he say that shit. But we get Randy. I'm about to say Randy Orton. We get Roman Reigns versus the B Team. Now, me personally, I get tired of the way WWE has the booking around him to where you need to gather sympathy for him in order for people to cheer for him. leukemia situation was a real life situation. Glad he's alright from that. Glad he beat that. But from the wrestling aspect, bro, we do not need to be trying to garner sympathy from him getting jumped. Roman Reigns it's like 270 something. At least 6 foot, at least 6'2" or 3" or some shit. And every time they try to have somebody they try to put him in a handicap match. They try to have him get jumped. Like, dude, when is enough? Just let him fight one-on-one matches. Let him build the fucking story without having to put him in handicap matches and shit. I don't know. That's just me. You're not getting sympathy from me just because you put him in a handicap match or he getting jumped during a segment. I don't care nothing about that. Garner some realness by just doing a straight up segment without fucking having 3 or 4 guys jump him just to garner sympathy. But anyway, he beats the B team as you should expect. It's no surprise there. With Elias as the referee, going, I guess, to build more to his match with Elias at Money in the Bank. We'll see what they do next week. But that's all for the big dog. And then, kind of like Monday Night Raw, you get the tag team match between the people who were named to represent SmackDown in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So you get Ali and Balor versus Orton and Andrade. Ali won for his team. There's nothing really too much to say about the match. Obviously, the match was good. That just not creative booking, I guess. Just put the 4 guys in the fucking who represented SmackDown in the tag team match, just like they did on Monday Night Raw. Same thing. Nothing new. Nothing inventive. Then we go to a backstage segment later on introducing Ember Moon and Carmella, who were also chose to represent SmackDown in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So the 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches are filled. And last but not least, we get to our finale, our main event of the show, the Kevin Owens show with guest Xavier Woods. But we all knew that wasn't going to work because of Xavier Woods' injuries. So Kevin Owens came out there by himself, and he brought out little toy versions of the New Day. So he brought out a toy Xavier Woods, and he brought out a toy Big E with his knee wrapped up in a bandage. And he proceeded to do the Kevin Owens thing, man. Entertain, man. Be one of the best heels he is in the company. So, and that prompted Kofi Kingston to come out, and then they brawled. And the brawl ended with Kofi standing tall with Kevin Owens in the crowd. And that's the way SmackDown Live ended. So SmackDown Live was the better show for the week. I get a W to SmackDown and L to Raw. So to recap, the Money in the Bank ladder matches are set. The Money in the Bank Championship matches are set for the most part. Probably get the U.S. Championship announced next week. Other than that, the card's pretty set, man. You got Roman versus Elias. You got Charlotte versus Becky. You got Becky versus Lacey Evans. You got the not SmackDown, but you got the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match with Natalya, Alexa Bliss, Naomi, and Dana Brooke from Raw. And from SmackDown, you got Bayley, Mandy Rose, Carmella, and Ember Moon. And that's the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match completely set. And for the man, you got Balor, you got Mustafa Ali, you got Andrade, you got Randy Orton representing SmackDown. And representing Monday Night Raw, you got Drew McIntyre, Ricochet, Baron Corbin, and Braun Strowman. And you got the Universal Championship match between Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. And the WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston and Kevin Owens. So I think it's probably about 7 or 8 matches, right? That's announced right now for the card. And we'll see if it's some pre-show stuff going on. Don't know, but that's the recap of both Raw and SmackDown, man. SmackDown wins in this situation to me. They had the better show. Not all around better, but they're way better than Monday Night Raw was. So, If you enjoyed the video, man, give it a like down below. Comment. Share and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next review, man. I'm out of here. Peace.